Last night a guy stormed the albergue and I had to confront him with my knife. And today I leave Portugal. Good morning guys, day 5 on El Camino. Never a dull moment. Last night we were all asleep like around 10 p.m. and at 1:30 in the morning this guy showed up with a lighter in his hand, like a cigarette lighter, and he was just like looking at every bed. I thought for sure we were getting robbed, but it turns out that he was a local guy from here, an old timer, and he was just looking for a bed to crash. After the commotion, he took off all his clothes and settled in the bunk bed next to me. And for the next 2 hours, he proceeded to just making noises, farting all the time, started singing and calling out names. It was a madhouse, man. But in the end, I couldn't take it anymore. And I told him to leave. I got up and actually I filmed a little clip because it was so surreal that I had to document it. Check it out. So yeah, this guy showed up last night in the middle of the night. Completely wasted. And I thought that we were getting robbed, but no. He had his light and he was just checking to see which bed was available. And ever since he's just been
singing.
He's just been singing and farting all night.
And spinning around.
And I think he was even jerking off for a little bit there. Another day in El Camino, that's for sure. If I was laughing, it was out of nervousness, I guess. Still took him about half an hour to gather all his belongings, and in the end he grabbed a couple of blankets and he went to sleep in the dining room. So yeah, got very little sleep last night after that, and today I'm heading to the border with Spain. So why did I have to pull out a knife on the guy? Well, first of all, let's not go so far as to call it a knife. It's my Swiss Army pocket knife, and it was because once he came in and he was with a lighter searching, I guess, for a bed, he came to mine and I had all my equipment on the top bunk bed, and he started searching in there, I guess, for a blanket, and I thought for sure I'm getting robbed. So I came out with my pocket knife and I was like, what are you doing? He completely ignored me, grabbed the blanket, I went to bed. And like I said, he started singing like a drunken sailor. Guy had the voice of an angel, gotta tell you that. But yeah, enough about the guy. Today we have a 26-kilometer day ahead, the longest so far, I think. I have an option between picking the coastal official route, which goes inland for the majority of the day before going to the beach, goes through a few towns, but I'd rather take the alternative one. The alternative one leaves the city now and it trails the beach all the way. There's less support, less marking according to some sites, but I have the GPS tracks. So let's get it started. By the way, I already went to a bakery, a local bakery, and I had breakfast of champion. Café con leche, a ham and cheese sandwich, and a señorita. I'm trying to get a shot of that church on top of the hill, which looks amazing, by the way. But there's a no-fly zone right in the middle of town. So I had to walk all the way around and trying to find a spot as close as possible to launch the drone. That's my mission right now. It's gonna be a close one because it's gonna require a full battery just to get there and back. But I have two, so no worries. All right, so that was a successful flight. Made it back just in the nick of time. I had 25% battery left, which is plenty, but I don't like to cut it close. So yeah, let's head for the coast and get this day started. So not long after the windmills, they were great, right? My path crossed again with the two guys from the albergue last night, the Germans, and we walked together for a long time. And it was like right next to the water's edge, right next to the beach. It was a nice walk. Unfortunately, Alex, the young kid, he's carrying too much weight, and his Achilles tendons were just killing him. And just exactly like me doing the Frances. So I gave him a couple of ibuprofen 800, and he decided to stop for a rest and maybe catch a train in the next town. What do you think about this little woods, huh? Pretty cool, huh? And after that, the wind really picked up dramatically. I mean, I even had to pull out my buff. That's how bad it got. I put away all the electronics. Got to town, saw this little lighthouse with some steps, and trying to be funny, trying to come up with a joke. The joke was all on me because the wind dropped my tripod with the Osmo, with this little camera here, and the screen smashed. The polarized filter got destroyed, and while I was having lunch, I had some chicken sandwich, fries, and a beer. I decided to get my Swiss Army knife and cut away all the protective glass plastic on the lens. How does it look now? It was this camera. The gimbal was unaffected, which is a miracle. This is my main camera for vlogging, since I like the stabilization system on it. And yeah, now I'm walking through this little forest, giving me some protection from the wind. And I'm about 3-4 kilometers away from Caminho, the town where I'm gonna be staying, the last town in Portugal. And that's it. That's the update. So guys, day 5 is now done. I got to the albergue at 5 p.m. after walking for 18 miles, almost 30 kilometers. It was very, very windy when we got here. There was a line or a queue of 8 pilgrims waiting to get into the albergue because the guy at the front desk wasn't there. And actually half of them, about 4 of them left. And then we were able to get in about half an hour later. And this albergue was in renovation from the beginning of the year until about a week ago, which was great because everything in it is brand new. Took a shower, very warm shower, which is always welcome. And then we went to the supermarket, got some supplies, and we cooked ourselves a pilgrim's meal in a brand new kitchen. It only cost us 9 euros each. Buen provecho. Bon appetit. How do you say it in German?
Guten Appetit.
Guten appetit.
Yeah, guten.
Very nice. We were just until like now talking. It is sharing stories. It is 10 o'clock. At 10:30 they close the door, like automatically you can't get back in, even if you have the code. So I have to do this really quickly and go in. I'm right across from Spain. I can see it across the river. Tomorrow we actually have to hire a small boat and cross it because the ferry is not working this week, which is so exciting. It reminds me of crossing the Po River. So that's about it. What a crazy day. I had that crazy drunk guy wake me up in the middle of the night, then I smashed my Osmo camera. Thank God that it still works. Now I'm here, last day in Portugal, last night, and tomorrow the new stage of the journey begins. So, see you then.